Welcome to today's ESHA webinar on Genesis R&D supplements. My name is Alicia, and I'm joined by my colleague Ben. Today we'll be presenting information on the latest version of Genesis R&D supplement software. A little background about ESHA Research. ESHA Research was established in 1981 as the first comprehensive nutrition and analysis software solution. Today our products and services have grown, as well as the databases that drive some of the underlying information in the software. We offer Genesis R&D food formulation software. We also offer the supplement and formulation software of Genesis R&D that we'll be covering today, the food processor software for nutrition and diet analysis, and our consulting services includes labeling, training, and custom solutions. Genesis R&D Supplements was released in 2016. It's designed to help users manage processes and industry challenges and meet federal requirements. The software features include automation of creation of compliant supplement labels, managing formulations and ingredients in one convenient place, applying modifications to formulas easily, accurately analyzing the nutritional content of your formulas. You can reuse formulas, create new, modify as you go. It offers an intuitive user interface with easy label modifications and helps you with your necessary documentation. Please note today's webinar is being recorded, so you can refer back to this later. All recorded webinars are available on the ESHA website. Please feel free to visit those at any time. We have a variety of supplement tutorials and webinars, as well as federal regulation webinars. And while the webinar is broadcasting, please submit your questions. You can send questions in by the GoToWebinar control panel. Send them in as you think of them. We do have colleagues standing by to help answer as we go. Today's agenda will cover % organic calculations, ordering promoted components or rearranging the components on your label, covers inactive components from formula blends, searching by suppliers, and we'll end with a question and answer.
Awesome, thank you, Alicia. So with that, we're going to take a look at the Genesis application. Like she said, we're just going to be looking at the updates with the version 1.4 changes. So we'll go into the Genesis Supplements program now, and we'll go through some of those important functions and features. The first function that we will look at, as we had that agenda, is the percentage organics calculations. So with that, I'll go ahead and open up a ingredient. So I have an ingredient that already exists in my database. It's our green tea ingredient. And it should already be in your database for Genesis Supplements as well. It's one of the samples that we ship with the program. So with our green tea ingredient, should look pretty similar to what you've seen in the past with Genesis Supplements 1.3, but with 1.4, we've got this new organic percentage here. And it should, by default, show up like this, so NA. So there's basically three different kind of ways you can go through this here. Maybe not three, but there's three kind of variations here. If you have a blank value, if you click into this and it is a blank value, it will show as NA. So that means not applicable. There's not a percentage attached to it at all. If it's an organic item, we call it 100%. And this is just going to be based on percentages. So a 1 to 100 value for the percentage of that item that is organic. And then of course, if it's partially organic but not completely, if it's 70% organic, you can put that number into our ingredient as well. So we can do that. You can enter in your percentage. I'm going to put it in 100%. This item is completely organic. We can just go ahead and save this item here. Click on our save button. It's in use already. That's okay. Save it. And now we can close this ingredient here. And now what we'll do is create a brand new formula and use that ingredient as a component so that we can then see how that functions within supplements with the percentage organic. So now I'll just say, I'll call it webinar herbal beverage. It's the name of our new formula here that we've created. And now we can start adding ingredients into our recipe just like we normally would. You notice up the top here we have an organics property here. I'll hit on that in a few moments after I add an ingredient or two in. We'll start with just adding that green tea item in. So we're going to add green tea, say 100 milligrams active. And you notice that once I add this ingredient in, if it has a % organic to the ingredient, it will pull open this new column for % organic. So if your ingredients have a % organic, that column, a lot like the contaminants, lead and arsenic and things like that that were released in version 1.3, those columns will show up if there is a value in them for any of the ingredients. Same is going to go with % organic. If I have an ingredient that has it here, that column will automatically pull open. If none of the ingredients have it in there, it won't automatically open in our recipe. We can still go in, if we right click in here, hit more, we can choose which columns that we're showing in our recipe view here, and % organic will just be an option here. So of course, if you wanted to show the % organic, either by default for every recipe you open, or just for this one, even if there's nothing that's organic mentioned in this recipe, you have that option right here. But for the automatic showing, it'll automatically pull open as soon as you add an ingredient to it. And now we've got our target percentage for organic. Let's go ahead and close this recipe and maybe try recreating it. I'll name it something different, sample organic. Let's see if I can add my purified water in here. And now let's add the green tea as well. Green tea, what did I have before, 100 milligrams? Select milligram here. Now we've got % organic here, there we go. So we got % organic now. Our purified water is NA, green tea is 100%, so we're still at 100% organic. And now, let's say 10 milligrams of that. And now we've got our % organic again. So again, with this item now we have caffeine is 0% organic, green tea is 100, the water doesn't count. And now if we were wanting to be 100% organic, we don't hit that. We're only at 90.98% organic. But if we were wanting to hit that 90%, which is the organic claim, we now do hit that. So if we change our target percentage here, it'll change us from red to green here. So and that would be how that is going to be handled within the new program. The next piece that we're going to have is allowing promoted components to be reordered. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I'm going to go ahead and close this recipe. I'll save it. And let's create a new formula. Plus, let's do a herbal plus item for this example now. And I'm going to add 2 ingredients into my formula now. We're going to do rose hips. And we'll do 50 milligrams active. And we're going to do echinacea. Find that without finishing the word, and do 100 milligrams of that. So we've got 2 ingredients in our formula. That's all we're going to add in here, just so we have it kind of simple, just so that we can take a look at the example. So we're going to go ahead and go into the, I'm sorry, first let me show you what we've got here. So within the ingredients, we've got 1 component of each ingredient. They're both polyphenols, so each one has the same component underneath it. We're now going to go into the label. We wanted to show those polyphenols on the label itself. So by default, when we first create the label, it'll show echinacea, it'll show rose hips. If we want to show those polyphenols, we can go over into our components. You have polyphenols. We don't want to show it though, showing it underneath the name of the ingredient. Maybe we want to actually promote it, which would mean it's its own line item now inside of the label. And we can see that polyphenols is coming from both of those sources. It's getting the total combined between the two. And now if we wanted to, maybe we don't want to show echinacea or rose hips on our label, we just wanted to show the polyphenols that are inside of those two ingredients, we have that ability. So that's going to be showing the component of an ingredient instead of actually showing the ingredients themselves. And then one other thing that we will show here, I had a couple other things that I could show. Let me pull those open so that we can see them as well. Let's show the rose hips again. So one other thing that we have the ability to do now here is we now have the ability to reorganize items inside of our label as well. So we notice these up and down arrows now inside of our information about the individual items. If we wanted polyphenols to be above rose hips, we can hit the up arrow and I'll move it right up above. So you can reorganize these items. Obviously, a lot of the components of the label do have their own set organization, especially the above the line nutrients, the kind of standard nutrition label nutrients, things like calories and fats and things like that. Those have an organization that they have to be in, but a lot of the user-created nutrients, components, however you want to word those things, can be organized however you'd like them to be organized. A lot of times they're organized in order of predominance, so you'll want the ones with more above the ones with less. So we had it in this order. It's probably not the most commonly, the commonly way people want it. Move it back down so now it's in the correct order again, order of predominance. All right, we're gonna have one more example recipe here, so I'll go ahead and close this recipe. We'll save it. We'll create one more new formula. And we'll call this one webinar green tea blend. Now let's add, what we're going to do is add a formula that we've already built. We've got our green tea plus formula, which I believe you'll see when you look at the program. It's one of our samples again. It's going to use this sample as a component of our recipe. We'll add 100 milligrams active inside of this item. So we've got a green tea plus inside of our green tea blend. We now notice that it's pulling apart the active versus inactives of that sub formula. And then we also can add another ingredient, microcrystalline cellulose. There we go. Got to put all that information in. So we're going to do 25 milligrams of inactive here. And you'll notice now that our microcrystalline cellulose, if I can get that word out, has combined together. So from green tea plus, from the other ingredient that we've built here, the actual from webinar means it's from this, this recipe that we're building now. So it's its own ingredient. So those are going to combine together now to create one inactive ingredient. And then we can go into our statements and add that into our ingredient statement. It should automatically go in there since it's already inactive, but it will combine together those two components at the same time. And then we got one last piece that we're gonna take a look at, and that's gonna be searching based on suppliers. Go ahead and close this recipe out and go over to open. And we now have the ability to, if I search for nutritional. I know that is one of mine because I've done it before. We see nutritional supplier on the side here. And so you can search based on the suppliers that you have for your ingredients now. And that's gonna be the last of our new functions. Hand it back over to Alicia.
Thank you, Ben. Thanks for demonstrating those features. So if you need to learn more, this was just the highlights of the latest version, but we certainly have training available for our software products, including the Genesis Supplements software. Yeah, but we're looking at the fall of 2018 to schedule a general session for the Genesis Supplements program. We have the professional training, which is the fundamentals of the supplements program, and that is in a classroom setting. We'll open that up to whoever would like to attend. If you can't wait until the fall of this year, you could certainly contact our training team, the ESHA training team, to schedule an on-site training possibility or visit our Oak Brook facility to have on-site, or excuse me, a classroom setting training if you have a group in your business that you would like to have trained on Genesis Supplements. If for any reason you have questions, concerns, features you'd like to see for a supplements version, feel free to contact us. We welcome your input. And here you can see various ways to contact us through our sales team, our support team, and consulting services. Please get a hold of us. We love hearing from you. And for just a few questions that came in, Ben, I'll have you respond to a few of these. First question is, how do I know what version of Genesis Supplements I'm running?
Great question. I'll show you where we can find that. I'm not going to open it on my computer because it will show my serial code. But we have our product. If you go into the file section of the program, which is the first thing you see when you open the program, the first thing you see should be something like this. If you click on the product and account information, it will show you the version of the program that you're running. The current version should be 1.4. I think 142 is what's been released currently. So that's what you should see, especially if you're working in the cloud. With that, obviously, you shouldn't ever be able to use an older version of the program, so it should always be the newest one.
Thanks. Another question, how do I show my supplier in the search results?
Yes, good question. When I searched for the supplier, if I did my nutritional again, you notice that the supplier comes up on the right side. If you don't have that, that is something that you can turn on or off. If you don't have that, if you go to the options tab, it should look like this, and it's going to be under search options. If you just check that box for show supplier / product in search results, then it will show up that column on the right side. If you don't have that checked, you can still search based on suppliers. It just won't show the suppliers highlighted yellow in the results. So you have the option to show or not, but it will search based on those, whether or not you have that checked. It's really just the visuals of showing it.
Thanks. And then a comment came in during the webinar about the organics, that organic, not 100%, but the next level down is at 95%, which correct, 95%. So Ben mentioned, this is for demonstration purposes. You do want to know your regulations. And you can see, as Ben demonstrated, that organic setting, you set the target. So know what target qualifies for what. I believe we have an ESHA article on the ESHA website regarding organics and covers a bit of the regulatory information there. So again, check out our website, the ESHA, www.esha.com. You have a variety of resources and information, past webinars, tutorials, and the means to get a hold of us with any of your questions. And with that, we appreciate you joining us today. Thanks.